Okay, guys, in this class, I want us to look at something very fundamental we'll be using. It is called functions. Okay, functions are generally seen as reusable block of codes. So functions are very much important, okay? They're reusable blocks of code. So if I want to do something and then I want to do that thing over and over again, I can actually do them within a function. Okay. So anytime I call the function, I will be able to execute that effectively. Okay. So functions are very good that it makes code to be reusable, and it allows me to call the function even when it has not been declared. Okay, so I can call a function even when it has not been declared or before declaration. I can say or before what declaration or before declaration. So I can actually, so it's quite awesome like that. Okay, I can call the function. Now, you know something, right? If I come here to like maybe, okay, let me just leave this in this way. Let's say I do something like let's I'll be using constant anyway. Const name equal to Francis, and I do something like const h1 equal to document dot query selector h1, and maybe I come here and or maybe h2, sorry, h2 h2, let me use h2. Okay, and maybe I come here and I do something like h2 dot test contents to be equal to name. Okay, so if I do this, you can see that it is not even allowing me to do that. Okay, let me call it my name. Just I'll be using this name thing. My name. Okay, it's not going to allow me. So, but let's see, why is this thing an error? Let's go back to our HTML and try to view this with our browser. So Ctrl+Shift+J, and if I look at the browser is going to tell me something very, very important. Okay, so it's always good that you look out for errors in your code. Okay, you look out for errors in your code is to help you to actually know, hey, what am I even doing wrong? Syntax error, unexpected JS6. So why am I having syntax error? Okay, so just do this thing this way. Why am I having syntax error? At BD 67. Okay, so if I look at it, I think I was having an error somewhere down there, which I don't know. So, but when I look at this, I can notice something that is say cannot access H2 before initialization. Okay, so I have not really initialized H2. So before it, there's no way I can be able to like access this file before I declare it. Okay, so let me just close here. I don't think I'll be working with that, and I will have this way. So this would have cleared if, even if I had pushed this thing under. Okay, if I push it under now, it will definitely clear. You can see it has cleared that error there. So if I look at here, I can see that my H2 is not telling me Francis. And if I had had this before here, you see that I'm actually encountering another error, which is telling me that it cannot access name before initialization. So name needs to have been, will be quite better if I initialize it before accessing it. But if this thing were to be a function, it wouldn't have been any issue. Let's say I call a function that says call me. Okay, call me, call me. Okay, I just call it here, and probably I declare the function here, function call me. Okay, so this is where I declare the function, and I say alert, alert my name. So I want it to just call my name. So nothing stops it from still running. You can see it's calling my name there. Okay, so just to be sure that it is the same running, I can say hello, hello, my name. So you can actually see that. So if I say okay, all right, so hello plus my name, sorry, plus my name, and if I call it again, and I should be able to have that calling there. Oh, I'm actually trying to say, okay, you can see it's telling me here, hello, Francis. Okay, so function allows me to call it before I even initialize, it. So that is very awesome thing about function. So again, sometimes a function can also take a parameter. Okay, so let's say that this function takes a parameter, and I say the parameter that it takes is name. All right, so maybe anytime I do this call hello, I want it to pass it name. Okay, so you can see name is undefined because I did not give this any name. So, but if I've given it a name like Kelubia, by giving it, Columbia is one of my students. By giving it a name like Columbia, you can see that it is logging it out here, hello Columbia. Okay, so I can actually say that this name, I can give it a default parameter to be my name. Remember, my name has already been declared here to be Francis. So if I did not provide this name, okay, it will say hello Francis for me. I can be writing my name in lowercase. If I did not provide the name, it will say hello Francis. But whenever I call the function and I provide a name for it, I can say I give you Sharon. Sharon is also a student. And then I pass it, we see hello Sharon. So this is called a default parameter. So when default parameters are being provided, okay, when parameters are being provided, it will take that that parameter that has been provided. If you did not provide it, it will take whatever that is assigned to it as default. Know that the default parameter here can also be a string. I can say this thing here is there. Okay, so if I say save this, it's going to say hello Sharon because I provided the parameter Sharon here. If I did not provide the parameter Sharon here and I give it, it will say hello dear. So that is awesome about function. So whenever we call a function, depending on what we pass a function to, the function is going to carry out stuff for us. Okay, so let's modify this function and assume that this is so I can also call a function after. Actually, the most better thing to do is to call a function before you declare it. Okay, so this also works fine. All right, so it's not that I must call a function before declaring it, but either way, which one you do, it works still better. So a function can take more parameters. I can say it takes parameter name, it also takes parameter age. Hello, Frank. Okay. I can say hi. Hi, Frank. Um, okay, let me just use template literal to do this. It's more better. I can say hi. To use template literal, we just use $sign name you are each. So anytime I call it, let's say I give it a parameter 20, let me say Violet and then 12. So you say, hello, hi Violet, you are 12. So, and if I pass it any other thing, maybe I say Frank now, whatever I type here, you are 120. So I can say, hi Frank, you are 120. So that is what it is giving out from. Okay. So in most cases, functions are being done to have a return keyword. What does it give out at the end of the day? So don't be confused if you ever see a function written as having a return keyword. So return keyword is just what it gives out at the end of the day. And this return keyword is much more better, especially when your function is doing multiple things, okay? So maybe your function is doing multiple things. It has to evaluate something else before, let's say this function is just telling me you are 18 and you were born in, I can say $year. So for me to know the year this person was born, I can actually say first year to be equal to um how do you calculate someone's year? I can say new date. This is a function, I have to pass it this dot get full year. So the current year minus the age of that person. So minus age. Okay. So hi this, you are this, or hi Frank, you are 120 and you were born in 1903. So this is quite awesome. It's already telling me, calculating all those things for me. And so with this, I will need a return keyword for me to make sure that this is working effectively. So my return keyword, what does it do at the end of the day? Okay, what do I want it to give out if I give it this thing? Okay, what do I want it to give out for me? All right, so what do I always want it to do at the end of the day? So that is one thing that return statements will do for you. So let's look at the example that we saw in class, like write a function that will take a name and then write that name like this. Okay, let's say whenever I give it a name, I give it a name, let me say I give it something like John, you should always write it as John. Okay, if I give it a name like Greg, or maybe I type it with capital G, it should always give me Greg. So I only want you to capitalize just the first letter of that name. Okay, so I'm going to remove all this, and first thing I have to do to put up my algorithm, I have to make sure that the entire function is in capital, is in lowercase. So I have to change to lowercase, I have to make sure that everything is in lowercase. I have to do what again? I'm putting it in a comment. I have to target the first letter, and replace with the capital letter. I have to target the first. So how do I now do this? I can say name to be equal to name dot to lowercase. Okay. So that will actually change to make sure that name is equal to name dot to lowercase. Okay. So once it has changed that, what will I now do? I will say name to be equal to. So I have to reassign because this is a string method that replace what? Name 0, which is the first letter in name, with name 0 dot to uppercase. So, and I'm assigning that to be name 2. So I'm going to return. What am I returning? Okay. What I'm returning is okay. Okay. Let me say h2 the text contents to be equal to name. So that is what is going to give me every time I do that. So h2 the text content to be equal to name. All right, so you can actually see it will be able to give me. So whenever I call this function, and I call it university, okay, and I'm not actually having h2 of text contents being equal to name. Okay, so my h2 here, I'm actually going to remove this so I can actually see what is happening here. So this is just one of the things that whenever you do it, you actually see that it's not working for you. So I can go to my browser and I can see that to uppercase is not a function. It's telling me that the uppercase is not a function. Meaning that if I look where I can see that I didn't spell it well. So C in case here is small letter. So I'm going to make it capital letter. And when I do that, the error has cleared. And whenever I look at that, I can see that it has passed that to be university. Okay, so whatever that I write here now, okay, it's going to change it to uppercase for me. If I say JavaScript, okay, I can always have it written it in capital letter. Even if I like, let me just write some in capital letter, some lowercase, it will always write it better for me. Okay, so now function is all about making things to look quite good. So what if I have this in JavaScript, I have maybe React, or so you can see that this thing will break. What I want it to like, I want the first letter of each word to be capital letter here. And I have JavaScript, React, I have Python, I have data science, something like that. And then I'm only having the first letter here being capital letter. Okay, so I have to go back and modify my function. Okay, go back and modify my function. So I want my function to um, as you have seen, this thing is, first of all, it's going to convert everything to lowercase. And what else do I want it to do here? I can say name should now be equal to name dot split. So I want to split it at the point where I have space. Okay, name will be equal to name dot split. I'm already seeing an error. I know that this is not complete yet. Name is equal to name dot split. Okay, so if I split it, and then that means I can find a way to loop through it and everything. Okay, so I have to actually remove this thing now. And if you split it, it means that it has converted it to an array. It has converted it to an array. So if I come here and I try to look at it, it's actually an array. Okay, but that's why it's giving it a comma. All right, so what I want you to do is I can say name to be equal to name.map. So I can use an array method since it has converted it to that. I can use an array method called map. Okay, name.map. What do I want to map? I want to map through, probably I can call it name. I can call it X. Let me just call it X. x will now be equal to x dot replace. I want to replace each of those x with what? X, the capital letter of each one with x, the first letter of each one, sorry, with its capital letter, okay, with x dot to uppercase. So, okay, so you can see it has replaced each of them with that. So, but I will need to join it back later. Okay, so instead of this, I can say name.join, join it back with what? With a space. So I can actually have that name React Python Science and all that. So whatever that I pass it now, so it is quite reusable. Okay, if I say my name is so it's always going to write my name like this. Okay, it's going to give me the capital letter of each one. Okay, first of all, what did I do? I had to split it, convert it to lowercase, split it at the point where I have space, and that converts it to an array. I have to look through the array and then change the first letter of each case to that. Okay, so I can also say that this thing returns a name. So I can actually take this dot join, cut it out, and decide to put the dot join here. So like you can always know how to manipulate things around. Okay, we are at university. Okay. All right. So this one is actually giving me an error. We are at university, so you can see it has given. So if I put in space here, this is an error. It's going to break my code. Okay. All right. So there shouldn't be a space there. We are at university. All right. So that is where I'm going to stop it at function. Function is actually deep. We'll be using it to solve a lot of things. We'll be using it to be looking at calling functions or doing things all over again. And also this is always fun to look into. Thank you and see you in the next class. Always remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. You'll be seeing more of videos like this.